You know, it's one of the most frustrating, angering things that really insults my intelligence and probably yours too, is to be lied to right in your face. Because when someone lied to you and you actually know that it's a lie, and you say to yourself while they're telling it, wait a minute, maybe this person thinks I'm either dumb or they think I don't know what they're doing, but nonetheless, they are lying right in front of me and they have the gall to do it and think that they can get away with it. When I was in education, I had this young man, he was a sixth grader. I guess he ran in sixth grade. All the kids were scared of him. Well, apparently, he asked the teacher, could he go sharpen his pencil? He went to sharpen his pencil while she was writing on the board. He reached, grabbed the sack off the back of one of the little kids' chairs, took that sack, threw it on that kid's head, tightened it, and gave him a couple of these real quick like this, you know what I'm saying? And the kid looks around afterwards like, oh, did y'all see that? That dude just straight up tried to choke me. So he raised his hand, told the teacher asked the kid, did you just try to choke so and so on? And this dude was like, man, no, I ain't trying to choke that dude, man, that's crazy. And all the other kids in the classroom was scared to tell on him. He got sent to my office. I sat down with the young man. Did you try to choke this dude when you went to sharpen your pencil? Nope, I ain't do nothing. So I said, okay, sent him home, told his grandmother he can't come back until you come with him. Then I went, grabbed the tape, showed the tape to my principal at the time. We both sitting there watching it. Sure enough, this dude choked that kid. And had the nerve to look me right in the face and lie. His grandmother brought him back to school, came in mad at me, talking about why you suspend my kid. My baby said he ain't do nothing. I said, okay, ma'am, I'm going to show you something. I turned on that quarter and said, look at that, ma'am. Who is that little guy right there? Huh? I mean, is that your grandson? Okay, what is he doing right there? Oh, he's choking that kid? Okay. All she could do is drop her head in shame. However, I looked at that young man and said, so now what do you have to say for yourself, man? He looked me and principal dead in the eye and said, that ain't me. I couldn't believe my eyes. I said, I cannot believe this dude just straight lied to me like that after I watched him on video do what he did. And he looked at me and said, that's not me. I don't know who that is. I could not believe it. And that's exactly what the media and the Democrats have been doing to us for years. And I'm just about sick of it. Before we get into this video, make sure you hit like, share my videos, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Also, make sure that your notifications are on and they're set to all. Now, let's get into this. But first, quick commercial break. Silver demand will exceed supply again this year. 32,000 tons of silver will be produced against 34,000 tons of demand. Mining.com, an online-only news site covering the global mining and metals industry, sourced the data. And this proves what global gold investments have long warned the market about. U.S. transition to renewable energy will put pressure on silver productions. Silver is used in solar cells, industrial fabrication, and the automotive industry. There will be a future increase in demand in the field of nanotechnology, along with the food industry and printed and flexible electronics. Demand will increase by 54% by 2030. There's no better time to invest in Noble Gold Investments right now. Noble Gold Investments will walk you through the entire process, and it will take you no more than 5 minutes to open a gold or silver IRA. And this month, you'll get an incredible free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with a qualified IRA of $20,000 or higher. Yeah, man, you can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more, or you can just visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, let's get to this video. What's going on, America? Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make some sense out of nonsense, and apparently we got some more nonsense we have to address. So, there's been these reports going around about Donald Trump and allegedly saying something that is anti-Semitic, and I figure we better go ahead and get to the bottom of it because, see, from past experience, I realize that most of the time when you hear stories like that, you know, if you don't look into it yourself and read all of the details, you'll find that people with a motive will get up there and lie to the public right in their face and don't care, all to make Donald Trump look bad, right? Taking things out of context, belittling people's intelligence, and unfortunately, some people will believe it. So it's up to us to try to figure out what's been said and in what context. Because see, when you hear people in the media say Trump said something, you always have to run it through your common sense sensor. Yeah, you got to ask yourself, what does that look like in its purest form? Is Donald Trump completely out of his mind to where he would get up there and say some things about Jews, knowing the backlash that would come from the media, knowing how they sit and salivate every day, all day long, hoping that he would get caught up, that he would slip up and say something that they can go ahead and trash him on, take out of context and stuff. So with that being said, let's get into it. No president have done more for Israel than I have. Somewhat surprisingly, however, our wonderful evangelicals are far more appreciative of this than the people of Jewish faith, especially those living in the U.S. Those living in Israel, though, are a different story. Highest approval rating in the world. Could easily be PMUS. Jews have to get their act together and appreciate what they have in Israel before it's too late. Okay, I just read that tweet and I can understand the context. I went to school. I was hooked on phonics at one point. I can tell the context of that tweet. Now, before I read the reaction to some other people and hear the reaction from the Democrats, let me go ahead and see if I can go and decipher what I think this means. Now, President Trump appears to be touting his record when it comes down to Jews and the relationship that America have with Israel. Unlike the last administration, the Obama administration, who severed that relationship. Now, we have many Christians in America who support Jerusalem. We also have many Jews that support Jerusalem. But unfortunately, in the United States, many of our Jews also vote for the Democrat Party and unfortunately have been susceptible to being watered down to the point where they don't have the strong support that they should have for Jerusalem. Let's be real. If you're voting for the Democrat Party, which have shown time and time again that they really don't support Jerusalem, they will support Palestine, they will support Iran, they'll support almost all of the countries that hate the Jews. But yet Trump gets in and he does all of these things to strengthen the relationship. He goes and he rips up the Iran deal to make sure that they don't develop nuclear weapons for Jerusalem. He negotiates peace treaties over there. And yet we have Jews over here that are still supporting the Democrat Party, who allow people like Ilhan Omar, AOC, Tlaib, and all of them to trash the Jews. But for some reason, the Jews still support them. So Trump is saying, get it together. I am the biggest supporter of Israel and the Jews. The party you're voting for does not support them. Why is it that the people in Jerusalem could see all of the things that I've done for Israel, but yet the Jews over here can't see it? That's all I see. This is no different than us saying Americans don't realize how good they have it here in America. They sit back and they brag and boast about all these other countries. They talk about how evil America is. It's almost like they don't even appreciate America. But yet they won't move away. They won't go anywhere else. They'll sit here, trash our country, and not even realize that they are blessed with American privilege. They also didn't recognize that under Trump, an American first president, we had a booming economy. We weren't looking at a possible nuclear war. We had low inflation. Gas prices were low. People were having a good time. But for some reason, some people lied to a whole bunch of Americans to make them think life was horrible. Thus, they did not support the president who brought forth blessings through his policies. That's my interpretation of it. But now let's see who else has an interpretation. So you gotta think first like the evil villain and the hero. If I was a villain and I wanted to make someone look bad, I would take what they say and try to twist it and capitalize on ignorant people, catch some people slipping, catch people who won't follow up, catch people who won't read things in its complete context, and won't also realize that we've been doing this for a long time, taking this man out of context. Okay, so here we go. Donald Trump, who reportedly praised Hitler in private. Reportedly. Who reported that? Who was the source? We've been hearing that garbage too. Says gives anti-Semites the green light to go after Jews. Really? Okay. Over the weekend, Trump told Jews to get their act together or else. It was just the latest of many instances in which the ex-president went full anti-Semite. Now, I'm a little concerned because see, that I just read doesn't sound like the whole tweet that I just read. Why is it? Why did that person leave out all of that context? Why did that person make it seem like in its purest form, Trump out of nowhere said, let me tell you something. All you American Jews better get your act together. You understand that? Now, if you don't, since you don't appreciate me enough. All of you white nationalist racists that hates Jews in America, go after them. Nothing in that tweet said that. Do they think we're that stupid? Do they think conservatives are that naive to read a tweet by Trump and take it to mean that the Jews here in America should now become targets of violence or something? What do we think we're going to solve by that? You think you're going to harass them, attack them, and get them in shape, make them support Trump, make them appreciative, make them bake him a cake or something? So this response to Trump's tweet is obviously a hit piece and an assumption that whoever reads this is too dumb and ignorant to go and see what Trump actually said. Then you have Black Gay Drop coming out to do what Democrats do. The same thing they've been doing for the last 6 years, which is fudge stuff, which is lie, embellish, misinterpret, sow disinformation, and all of that, and discord between Americans by taking Trump's words out of context and trying to apply some type of nefarious motive to it. So let's hear Black Gay Drop's interpretation of it, y'all. Here we go.
Trump's comments were anti-Semitic, as you all know, and insulting, both to Jews and to our Israeli allies. But let's be clear, for years now, Donald Trump has aligned with extremist and anti-Semitic figures.
Now, isn't that ironic that she would come out and say something like that? For the simple fact, we've been also hearing the Homeland Security Director, Mucus, and Garland, and let's see who else, Biden, and all the other Democrats push this narrative. And even the FBI director pushed this narrative that extremism is the greatest threat to the homeland, and racism and white nationalism and stuff. Could it be that she's trying to take his tweet and throw fuel on that narrative that Republicans are extreme and stuff? Because see, remember, whenever you criticize a group of people based on maybe them all happen to be Jews or happen to be men or happen to be women, it always has to come from a form of hate. See, so by you saying that, wow, it'd be cool if the Jews in America would stop voting for Democrats. See, that's why she's mad. He didn't say nothing about they're bad because they're Jews. He didn't say nothing about Jews or whatever. He didn't do none of that. He said, in a sense, I support Israel. Now, why isn't she saying that? He's saying, I've done a lot for the Jewish people. I've done a lot for Israel. And yet somehow she flips that and makes it appear that Donald Trump is anti-Semitic because he said, hey, Jews in America, why is it that the people in other countries in Israel can appreciate what I've done and y'all can't appreciate it? I talk to a lot of people from other countries. They say, hey, blacks in America, why is it that we over here can see what's going on in your country when it comes down to these Democrats and the black folks in your country can't see it? Why is it that we over here can appreciate all that y'all have going on in America, but your own citizens are whining and complaining and talking about this place sucks, it's racist, and I'm leaving and all that, but they never do. They never do. They never leave. They stick around and make our lives miserable. Why in the world would she come out and misinterpret what Trump is saying and then say, oh, but that's not nothing new. He always hangs with extremists. So let me understand. If you criticize anybody that's Jewish, then that means you're anti-Semitic. When people start asking questions about you know who, George of Jajungo, who be dropping all that money to support all these Democrats, you just couldn't criticize him simply because he's the evil emperor. No, it was solely because you were anti-Semitic. You don't like Jews. And they pull this garbage all the time. When you criticize a woman, it's not because she's stupid, got bad policies, it's because she's a woman. You criticize someone black, it's not because they got bad policies, they're corrupt or crooked, it's because they're black. This is a game that they play, and now I got to expose it. I didn't want to do this. You think I want to spend tonight dealing with Black Gay Drop, making up lies and stuff? But hey, I cannot go to sleep without exposing this nonsense. Let's continue.
And it should be called out, to your point, Darlene, just like we called out our Democratic friends and colleagues last week, and we will condemn and call this out as well. So we need to root out anti-Semitism everywhere. It rears its ugly head. We need to call this out.
So I wonder why they don't call it out in New York, where all of those Jews are being attacked by, they're being attacked by black people. See, it's just kind of like they don't call out all of the gun violence and stuff when it's black on black crime. No, you can't do that. Just like they don't call out when an illegal immigrant ends up killing an American citizen, raping an American citizen or something like that. Because see, these are the groups that they use to manipulate society and set up one whole big group of people to appear to be the enemy, which is white, non-Democrat voting people. That's what they do. So it's all these white people against the rest of all the victimized groups. Therefore, those victimized groups can't do nothing wrong. Can't do nothing wrong, okay? And if you criticize any of it, it's because you're either racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, or whatever, which is a dirty way of fighting. Now, to get to the bottom of this and figure out who might be right or wrong or all of that stuff, maybe we should say who is more likely, who is more prone to take someone's words out of context or use these situations to lie and manipulate the situation, manipulate the public, or create a false narrative. See, because we found that all of the statements that Trump made, the Democrats put their own context to, came to find out was a lie. Remember they said that Trump called all those MS-13 people animals? Because, see, they didn't mention it was MS-13. They simply came out and said Trump called immigrants animals. Come to find out it was MS-13. Remember how they said Donald Trump, he said that there were very fine people on both sides. Come to find out he condemned all of the white nationalists, the KKK members and all of that stuff, and he wasn't talking about them. Remember that? Remember how they've been doing this since what, maybe 5, 6 years, 7 years ago? They got a track record, so we better go ahead and see who's more likely to take a tweet or a statement out of context and use it for political gain, for dividing the country, and to push a narrative of racism and, of course, extremism. Let's check it out.
Meanwhile, Alejandro Mayorkas caught in a lie. The Homeland Security Secretary went all Pinocchio on this photograph. You remember last year, border agents accused of whipping migrants.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was false. They were holding horse reins. And now an email shows that Secretary Mayorkas knew the truth hours before he said this.
Our entire nation saw horrifying images that do not reflect who we are. The investigation into what occurred has not yet concluded. We know that those images painfully conjured up the worst elements of our nation's ongoing battle against systemic racism.
And see, that was the point. He wanted to conjure up the worst images of our nation because he already knew the truth. He knew that they were not whipping those Haitians. He knew that these were the fine men down there at the border risking their life trying to do their job, and got that email up front, but still decided I'm going to go out to the podium just like we just watched Black Gay Drop, know that Trump was not talking about Jews in a negative way, and yet she still said what she said to make it appear that we got anti-Semitism floating around and Trump's an anti-Semitic person and he's encouraging all these people to hate Jews and stuff, when in reality, they're the ones trying to do that. So this man right here is talking about the images that it conjure up, but that's exactly what he wanted to do. He used that narrative to conjure up the hateful images so that we wouldn't focus on the fact that that border is broken and they're allowing people to come across the border at will. Instead, we would all now start thinking about slavery, I guess, and whipping slaves and stuff. So now let's go ahead and go down that rabbit trail just to see the games that they will play so people watching my video will understand what these people are up to.
Well, there are now further calls for the Secretary of Homeland Security to be impeached.
He should be.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is in hot water after an email obtained by Fox News' Bill Melugin found that he basically went against his own border agents. Last year, when there was a massive influx of Haitian migrants crossing the border in Del Rio, photos circulated showing agents on horseback with what looked to be whips. These photos looked as if these agents were using whips to round up migrants who were illegally crossing the river into the United States. The photos caused widespread criticism for the Biden administration as the actions were slammed as an inhumane treatment of migrants. This is all happening while Del Rio, which borders Texas and Mexico, was seeing about 15,000 to 30,000 migrants crossing the river and camping out under the international bridge.
So instead of talking about that, instead of saying, you know what, I don't have control of the border and all of these people are coming across because we want them to come here and then maybe we can make them into Democrat voters and the border is broken by design. Instead of saying all of that, this guy starts talking about these Haitians that somehow made it all the way to our country. I don't know. They must be strong swimmers to be able to swim all the way over to the U.S., get here and come across our southern border. But this guy right here is talking about those guys were down there whipping them. Now, you got to ask yourself, what is the common sense test? Do you think in 2022, where everybody's looking for a way to blame somebody for some racism, some atrocities and victimization, do you think those men would be down there on those horses whipping slaves, whipping Haitians? Do you think that's what really took place? And yet they insult our common sense, our intelligence, by trying to make us think that's what was happening. Unbelievable.
Border Patrol agents at the time were quite literally run off their feet, working overtime to control the situation.
Yeah.
So when Alejandro Mayorkas fronted the media to slam his own team of agents for allegedly whipping migrants, there was still doubt over whether it actually happened. Not long after the criticism, reports circulated that the photos were misconstrued and that the whips were actually horse reins.
Wow,
Bill Melugin has obtained an email that was sent to Secretary Mayorkas by a Department of Homeland Security top public affairs official who confirmed this whipping narrative was not true.
I want to hear this. I can't wait, y'all.
The email sent on the 24th of September 2021 reads, the photographer behind images depicting Border Patrol agents on horseback told KTSM things are not exactly what they seem when it comes to the photos. The photographer, Paul Ratch, said that he and his colleagues never saw agents whipping anyone. The quote was, "I've never seen them whip anyone. He was swinging it, but it can be misconstrued when you're looking at the picture." Wow. 2.5 hours after this email was sent, Secretary Mayorkas fronted the media, calling the images horrifying.
So wait, you're telling me that this man knew 2.5 hours before he went out to that mic and drummed up images of racism and slavery and all of that stuff? Why would he do that? Why would he knowingly go out there saying, hey, I know this is not really what took place, but I'm going to say it is, or at least infer that it is, and I don't care of the images and the division and the animosity and all of that stuff that might come from this? Why would he do that? Huh? Could it be that he's an evil, radical, extreme politician who don't mind using these narratives to destroy and divide our country for political gain and power? Could it be that? Same situation here with Trump. Could it be that what Trump emailed or texted or tweeted out there really didn't mean what Black Gay Drop and that person who wrote that article is trying to imply that it means? Why would they do that? If I could sit back and read Trump's tweet or statement and understand it, and yet they come out and tell me it meant something totally different, knowing that I might not be the brightest dude in the world, but I do know how to read that statement in context, and I'm saying, that's not what he was talking about. So then why in the world would you get out there and try to make him seem like he is attacking Jews and he's anti-Semitic? Could it be for the same reason that Mayorkas, or should I call him by his real name, Mucus, got out there knowing that those men did not whip those Haitians, but he made it appear that they might have? Why would he do that? It's the same reason. They're doing it to drum up the worst images to manipulate your emotions. They want you to think that anti-Semitism is a rise and it's all just infested through the Democrat Party. And Trump's the head one. He's spreading it all over the place. Just like they want you to think racism and slavery is still in effect. But we're about to go ahead and get an alternative opinion about this whole statement from Trump.
President Biden also fronted the media, calling the photos outrageous.
But it was horrible what to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running over people being strapped,
he's lying.
It's outrageous. I promise you those people will pay.
White House press secretary at the time, Jen Psaki, had also called the images horrific, and then Biden's border czar, Kamala Harris, who has only visited the border once, said this.
What'd she say?
What I saw depicted about those individuals on horseback,
that big old man,
treating human beings the way they were, is horrible. And I fully support what is happening right now, which is a thorough investigation. Exactly what is going on there. But human beings should never be treated that way. And I'm deeply troubled about it.
So she's deeply troubled about it. Human beings shouldn't be treated that way. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Just like we just saw Black Gay Drop. We're calling out all the people in our party, anti-Semitism and stuff. No, you don't. No, y'all didn't call out Ilhan Omar and all of them. Y'all tried to act as if, no, what she said wasn't anti-Semitic. In fact, we're going to go ahead and broadly condemn all hate speech or whatever. And then last week, when that lady out there in California got caught making racist statements, it was so blatant, so direct, and so belligerent, y'all couldn't cover it up. Y'all can sweep that under the rug. So you had to throw her under the bus. See, but now what you're trying to do is say, well, since this woman got her own butt in trouble, y'all should condemn Donald Trump and his statements and things of that nature. Now, notice the chameleon was not talking about the images of those babies being dropped off over the wall or being slung out in the river and all the people who die out there in the desert because of illegal immigration. She wasn't talking about the Haitians that had to have babies up under those bridges, and that was really being drawn to our country because of these people's policies, just saying, come on, everybody, surge the border. She don't want to talk about those images. So instead, they will go ahead and take these images, which they knew were false, knew it was a lie, and step out to the mic and make it appear that it was something that it isn't, just like they're doing to Trump right here. And just to make sure we're on the right page, let's hear from an actual Jew from Israel and see how he feels about what Donald Trump said.
Could be a presidential candidate again. Just a couple of days ago, Trump made headlines here in the United States by, on his social media site, saying that no president has done more for Israel than I have, and that he thought that evangelicals, rather than American Jews, were more appreciative of that. And he said this to American Jews: it's time to get their act together before it is too late.
You're right.
That has been deemed anti-Semitic by many, sir. What do you make of that? Is Donald Trump anti-Semitic?
Well, you know, he has a Jewish son-in-law, and his daughter converted to Judaism. His grandchildren are raised as Jews. So I don't think so. But I think it reflects his frustration, which happens to many politicians when they feel they don't get all the credit they deserve for the things they did.
I bet you want to shut him up.
I have to tell you, I'm not an exception. All of us, sir, belong to that. But I think also it's. I think there's a certain myopia here on the assessment of American Jews. American Jews, by and large, and to a great majority, support Israel warmly. And some, especially in the radical progressive wing, do not. But the great majority in the Democratic Party do. Now, the reason that's skewed a bit is because while Democratic support for Israel among the American voters has remained fairly steady, as the annual Gallup poll shows over a period of many years, the Republican support for Israel has skyrocketed.
Now, isn't that ironic? I wonder if they're going to call Bibi Netanyahu anti-Semitic. I wonder if they're going to call him that. And see, what it comes down to is Trump is right. When you are dealing with the Democrat Party, who are very, very pro-Palestine to the degree where they're willing to attack the Jews and make them look like they're the bad guys, they're the terrorists and all of that stuff. They're also very, very relaxed on Iran and that deal that could possibly lead to them developing nuclear weapons. And of course, right next to Israel, it could be a problem. So now all of these Jews over here that might think the Democrat Party means them well and they really love the Jewish people and all of that stuff, if you don't wake up and realize that these Democrats, they don't care about Israel, they don't really care about Jews, they were willing to throw Jews under the bus, they're willing to throw pretty much anybody under the bus, but for some reason they have lost their taste for their support of Israel, cutting back funds when it comes down to making sure that they have the ability to defend themselves, ripping up Donald Trump's plan to hold Iran accountable. All of that stuff does not scream out, we support Israel. So why is it that the Jews here in America can't realize that President Trump came in and started supporting Israel big time by making sure that they were armed, making sure that everybody knew you mess with Israel, you're messing with us. Now I'm talking to the Christians right now. You got to understand that relationship that America have with Israel is numero uno. America is blessed because America supports Israel. The day that America turns their back on Israel is the day that God turns his back on America. So as foul as we are with these raggedy progressive globalist Democrats running around pushing Marxist theory, pushing white nationalism and racism and transgenderism and all of that stuff, as bad as America is, we still have the grace of God right now. But when these Democrats start saying, well, who cares if Iran blows Israel off the map? Who cares if Israel is deemed to be a villain and all the countries come against them? We might even jump in on it too, get a couple punches. That's the day when America gets judged worse than what we should be getting judged right now. So I had to go ahead and bring that to light. And so did Bibi Netanyahu. Now, let's see if Black Gay Drop will come out and call him anti-Semitic. But yeah, that's the style of the Democrats. These are the games that they play all the time. But thank God I'm here to expose it. Now, hit that like button, share my videos, follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all those good places, just in case I get the boot off of here. They'll probably be calling me anti-Semitic after this video. And make sure that you share my videos. Make sure you still subscribe. Make sure that your notifications are turned on to all. And what else? Did I miss anything? Make sure you check out my podcast. The links are below this video. If you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's links below this video to do that as well. All right. God bless y'all. God bless America. We'll see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care.